Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared and I have an awesome new knife here. I am very impressed with this thing. I'm loving this knife. This is the Azusa Blitzkrieg, the Azusa Bladeworks Blitzkrieg, and I'll put it up on the screen. It's a company out of Arizona, and you can probably tell who's doing the OEM work on this, and that is Migron, because it has a lot of features that that we see from Migron as far as the way it's finished, just the little details. But I guess it would take somebody who really is part of the knife community to see that, but to me, I can personally see Migron all over it. Now, I gotta say, Migron, I've had tons of them on the channel, if not all of them. I love what they're doing. I have, criticisms here and there, just like with any company. But Migron, I love that they are open to suggestion. They contact me after every video, that I do if I have a nitpick or something, and they try to do better, and I love that. That's awesome. That's the way companies should go about it. Now, I gotta say, this is possibly the best knife I've seen come out of Migron's factory. It is that good. I like it that much. So let's get into it. So we have an M390 blade, somewhat of a drop point. You can call it a harpoon if you want. It's a drop point blade. Then we have a titanium frame lock with this beautiful micro milling, titanium backspacer and pocket clip, carbon fiber inlays, T8 hardware all the way around. Love to see that. Now let's talk about this action, which is amazing. This thing is very addictive. And you wouldn't think the flipper tab would work as good as it does because of it being basically center line with the pivot. But boy, oh boy, did they tune this detent just right. You can push button it. It likes the light switch a little bit more. Very comfortable flipper tab. They put some jimping on there and it works great. Phenomenal, phenomenal flipping action. Then you have the lock bar access, which is very well chamfered. They left you great access, so it's very comfortable to disengage. Very easy to get past the detent. The detent is not too late, so it's very easy, and it's basically false shut action. Now, it's false shut action. Then you have this amazing reverse flicking hole. Now, this knife reminds me of a knife that Tucson did a while back. This was years ago, and they discontinued it. I tried so hard to get one because after me trying that, it had some of the best reverse flicking action I've ever experienced on any knife, and I could never find it and get it because it was discontinued. Now, I forget the name of it or the number of it, but this knife reminds me of that knife, and this hole deployment, it acts very similar to that one. It literally, the hole is positioned perfectly, exactly where you want it, to where your finger is going to get the most amount of tension in the most amount of comfort during a reverse flick. I mean, it is such a good reverse flick. And then you have a thumb flick that's also very easy to do, which is nice because a lot of times you're either getting one or the other, either the reverse flick or the thumb flick. And this one, both of them are very satisfying. This is a knife you could reverse flick with your pinky. I mean, it is very, very good. Plenty of room, perfect detent, just everything about both deployments is amazing. And I like that. I like a knife that is addicting to sit there and operate. They also did a really good job on the lock face geometry. It really snaps in there with authority. I like that. Even if it's very slow, you can see it's just basically pulling itself in to lock up, which I always do appreciate when I see that, because it reassures that when you deploy it, that thing's gonna be locked up rock solid without the possibility of the lock bar not engaging. Now, the ergonomics, super comfortable. If you're back here, you are pushed back a little bit far from the cutting edge, but you got the choil. So in this grip right here where you're buried down, very comfortable. Pinch grips for utility cuts are really good. You're not gonna really do the strap cutting grip because of the flipper tab, but if you needed to get by, you could. But yeah, super comfortable in the hand. No complaints on the comfort. Everything's chamfered really well, and you can see they even added this little extra chamfer right here on the spine on both sides. It's very comfortable. Now, the clip. The clip is one of my complaints that I complain about on a lot of Migarons. They're just entirely too tight. They snag up on these. I think they should take the lock bar cutouts and put them on the inside and loosen the tension up on these clips. They're just entirely way too tight. You know what, that leads us into negatives. Let's just talk about the negatives. So the first thing, obviously, I wish the clip was a little bit smoother in and out of the pocket. You know, it could definitely use some lightening on tension, and then this could be changed so it's not so sharp, so your pants don't, like, you know, bundle up on that. The next thing is this geometry. The geometry is entirely way too thick for the size of a knife. This is like fixed blade geometry. So I measured the blade stock thickness at 155 thousandths. So it's a thick blade stock. Then behind the edge at the thinnest point was like 25 thousandths, and it tapers up to 35 thousandths at the tip. The tip is nice and robust. Now that's cool as far as, you know, doing things with the tip where you don't want it to break. But as far as cutting performance goes, doing utility cuts and everything you're gonna wanna do with this knife, because this isn't a hard use knife. I'm not saying you can't be tough on it, but it's definitely not a hard use knife. It's a folding pocket knife that's, you know, reasonably sized. It's the size of the Hogue Deca or the Benchmade Bug Out as far as length goes. It's not a hard use knife, so there's no reason for this geometry. It either deserves a nice deep hollow grind, or two, just thin out the blade stock so that it can have a better taper, because this is, you know, for slicing purposes, this is not gonna cut the best. Now, I'm not saying it's not gonna cut, of course it'll cut. And you can see the edge bevel, you know, me measuring the 25 thousandths behind the edge, you know, this is with their edge angle. So if I put my own edge angle on there, I'm guessing this edge angle is probably like 27 thousandths, or sorry, 27 degrees per side. I don't know if that's true, but it, you know, factories are usually between 22, 25, 30, you know, degrees per side, just depends on the knife. And I imagine this one's between 25 and like 28 degrees per side. That's my guess. But if I put a 20-degree edge bevel on this or a 17-degree edge bevel, the edge bevel is gonna thicken up a lot. It's gonna get a lot bigger because it gets thick quick. So I'm adding this in afterwards. After I was done filming, I did talk to them and they said that they are, you know, considering doing, you know, because I said my negatives, and they are talking about fixing the couple things that, you know, I had an issue with the geometry, you know, and how smooth the clip is. So, you know, I'm not sure exactly what they're gonna do, but, you know, they're you know, this is a prototype. So there's always things that can be improved and changed at this point. Sharpening tool and plunge grind's just fine. It does taper down. I wish this was abrupt, or I wish you could see exactly where it ends. I can see it's probably right around there, but I would love to see it where it's like, you know exactly where the plunge grind ends. That way I can see right when I'm going to create a smile when sharpening. And because this is so thick, when I do sharpen it, my edge bevels are gonna be big. So it's not gonna take long to chew that, you know, that steel up there. So, you know, that's a small nitpick. It's good. So I don't want to make it seem like that's a negative. It's just fine. I prefer to see exactly where a plunge grind ends. The next thing is, and this is stupid, by the way, I just want to be clear. So this doesn't even like count for anything, but I'm just going to say it. I kind of wish the jimping had one more right here in the corner. Like, it works so good and it's such a comfortable flipper. I don't even like bringing this up. But when I slowly do it, when I just feel like this, I can feel this corner's a little slippery. However, you don't really flip it from the corner. You kind of put your finger right on the flipper tab. So is it a big deal? Absolutely not. But it'd be cool if there was one more jimping, because it's not sharp jimping as it is. So if you just added one more right there, it wouldn't be sharp or anything like that. Now, other than those things, this thing is amazing. Like I said, it's my favorite, probably the best model that I've seen come out of Migaron as far as action, fit, finish, and just everything. It's so good. It's very, very well done. Now, if they just thin out this grind, right there, this thing is already, you know, super amazing without thinning out the grind. So you can imagine with a nice deep hollow grind, or even just a, you know, slimmer blade. Now, I almost don't even want a slimmer blade because I love the way this thick blade drops, you know, and how fidgety it is, but it'd be nice with just a nice deep hollow grind. Anyways, all in all, I am super impressed. You know, like I said, the clip could, you know, be just loosened up a little bit, but that's not that big of a deal. I love they're using T8 hardware all the way around. Everything is done so well on this. So if you guys are wanting to get in on this one, the Kickstarter will be starting, I believe, within like a week or so, right around there. At least that's what I was told. So I'm not sure the exact date or anything, but you know, if anything, you know, it'll be very soon. So, man, this thing is awesome. But all in all, like I said, man, I'm absolutely loving it. It's very well done. I think they created something very sweet here. So work hard, stay tough. You know society's relying on you. Until next time, peace.